Ancient yogis and Buddhist monks have always emphasized the importance of observation. To observe something, we must devote our attention to it. This means that by giving the right attention, we can manifest the desired quantum event in our own lives. In this video, I'll share how you can use your attention to shape your reality. Learning to direct your attention is a powerful tool in co-creating your reality. Now, let's understand how our attention influences the version of reality that manifests. To do this, we need to comprehend how energy flows. If you ever feel stuck in life, as if you're working towards something that never materializes, or if similar situations keep recurring like a roller coaster ride, it's crucial to understand where the energy becomes stagnant. When energy can't flow as it needs to, it becomes stagnant. This stagnation leads us to experience the same circumstances repeatedly. So, what directs the flow of energy? The answer is attention. Wherever attention goes, energy flows. Our focus and attention determine the direction of the energy flow. Most people are unaware that our attention is divided into two main types: polar and non-polar. Polar attention has the ability to both attract and repel reality. It's like flipping a problem on its side to find a solution. Two different perspectives of the same situation. Polar attention draws in certain aspects while pushing away others. In addition to polar attention, we also have non-polar attention. This type of attention is completely neutral and has the ability to dissolve reality. When considering the manifestation of quantum events in our lives, let's examine what this could mean. Suppose we have two types of polar attention, positive and negative. When we think positively about something, life doesn't concern itself with the nature of our attention, but rather the content. As I mentioned in a previous video, if we despise something, we will attract more of it. Conversely, if we love something, we will attract more of what we love. This is the crux of the matter for us as humans. We have been conditioned throughout our lives to operate in fear and survival mode, as this has become our biological response. Our primary focus has been on survival, and the most effective way to ensure this is by eliminating and avoiding any threats. Consequently, we've been conditioned to live in a protective mode, avoiding conflict and risk. This conditioning has shaped many of us. Our conditioning often leads us to focus on what worries us, as evidenced by the fear-inducing content prevalent in the news and on social media. This is a tactic used by various influences to manipulate us. Many people, driven by pride, are willing to go to war to protect what they love. While this is commendable, it can also blind them to the reality of their situation. It's easy to manipulate someone into performing specific actions when they're angry or afraid, and these states of fear, anger, and pride are what society often uses to control us. Another example of this negative conditioning can be seen in our intimate relationships. Many people find themselves in repetitive relationship patterns due to unresolved past traumas. Their focus is often on avoiding a repeat of past relationships, which ironically leads them to attract similar relationships and partners. The fear of not having properly processed a traumatic event can be overwhelming, so it's easier to ignore it, and thus the cycle repeats itself. This is where the concept of neutral or non-polar attention comes into play, which we will discuss later. For now, it's important to understand that there are two types of attention, positive and negative. Life is primarily concerned with what we pay attention to, not the nature of that attention. If we find ourselves in a challenging situation, such as a workplace conflict, our perception of it can greatly influence the outcome. If we choose to view the situation positively, seeing it as an opportunity for growth, we can overcome the challenge and emerge stronger. This positive mindset attracts energy and circumstances that mirror our optimism. Conversely, if we view the situation negatively, believing it to be a disaster with no way out, we attract energy that mirrors this pessimistic outlook. It's crucial to understand that life doesn't differentiate between positive or negative attention. It responds to the nature of our focus. If we believe a situation will help us grow, our path will shift towards a more positive trajectory, and more of what we feel positively about will manifest. However, if we harbor negative feelings and anticipate the worst, then unfavorable outcomes are more likely to occur. Our perception of content is influenced by our emotions. When we feel positive, we perceive the content positively, and when we feel negative, we perceive it negatively. How can we be certain that a situation is bad? Often, it's an assumption driven by fear, which only leads to more fear. We tend to justify our feelings by thinking of other factors that could potentially amplify our fear. But why do we do this? As emotional beings, feeling something makes us feel alive and helps us survive, a fundamental aspect of our biological conditioning. When we're fearful, we start enumerating all the potential things that could go wrong. This negative focus then influences our attention, leading us into a downward spiral. The key issue here is the need for harmony between the heart and the mind. When we feel negative emotions, our mind instantly generates negative thoughts, which then manifest and move us onto a path where more negative events occur. However, the essential factor here is non-polar, neutral attention. When we perceive an event neutrally, it simply enters and exits our lives without exerting any power over us. For instance, in an unpleasant situation, we can simply observe it and accept it without letting it control us. There is neither positivity nor negativity towards it. You would continue on the same life path as before. Nothing would really change. The situation would just dissolve. Most people respond to their past traumas and fears by giving them negative attention. Consider how this occurs when something unpleasant from the past arises. We often try to escape from it because the feelings are intense and we're unsure how to handle them. In running away, we're actually resisting it. And what happens when you resist something? It persists. You're empowering it, and it exerts a counteracting force on you. We spend our lives resisting all the things from the past that we dislike, and we live from that place of trauma. Consequently, situations that confirm this trauma keep recurring. Remember, there are always two sides to a coin. The choice of how to perceive something is entirely yours. Now that you understand this, let's discuss how to use it to create reality effectively. The first step is to combine polar and non-polar attention. This is crucial, so pay close attention. There are 3 main steps to utilizing this method effectively. By following these steps, the energy you currently devote to negative thoughts will dissipate, leaving you with more energy to foster a positive reality. Let's delve into how this works. The first step is acceptance. When we find ourselves in a situation that feels like an abyss or at rock bottom, we must accept that it has occurred. Acceptance and resistance cannot coexist. Acceptance is the antidote to resistance. It's important to understand that we are not accumulating energy. The only energy being used is to redirect and get out of the way. Your goals want to manifest. You just need to step aside for them to come into existence. We begin with total acceptance of the current situation. Regardless of the problems in your life, whether you feel stuck or are facing your worst nightmare, imagine that it has happened. Accept it, see how life continues despite it, and stop worrying about it. This is fundamental because many people fear that accepting the worst-case scenario will attract it into their lives. However, this is not the case. On the contrary, accepting the worst-case scenario can be beneficial. By doing so, you stop feeding it with the energy of your resistance. If you continue to resist, you only make it more likely to occur. However, if you accept it and step aside, you allow for neutral attention. Acceptance is the first step to effect change in any area of our lives. It requires total, integral acceptance of the present moment, which is constantly changing and beyond our control. What we can control is our choice for the next moment. We often deceive ourselves into thinking that if something goes wrong, it's a failure. We become attached and identify with our actions. Instead, consider the worst-case scenario and accept it fully. This reduces its importance. The next step is to consider how setbacks or unfavorable events could potentially be blessings in disguise. Every event is neutral. We assign it a positive, negative, or neutral value based on our perception. Instead of viewing a situation as bad, we can ask, how can this potentially be an advantage? How can this be good in my life? What do I mean by a blessing in disguise? Sometimes, events occur to protect us. Perhaps there's a negative aspect in a situation that the universe is shielding us from. Maybe there's a reason why it happened. Have you ever considered that? Like any event in your life, maybe it's happening for a reason. If you missed a bus, it's possible that the universe was protecting you from a potential accident. This perspective becomes easier to adopt once you've reached a state of acceptance. If you're still dealing with a fresh wound or recent misfortune, don't pressure yourself to find the silver lining. Instead, focus on accepting what has happened. Once you reach a more neutral state, you can start to consider the potential positives of the situation. The final step is to continually redirect your attention towards your desires. If you're in a state of total equanimity and acceptance, your attention will be free to focus entirely on what you want. Mastering this process can make you unstoppable, as it determines your life path, the quantum events that manifest, and the experiences you have. This is all influenced by where you direct your attention. Many ancient cultures and religions emphasize the importance of attention and observation, and here, we're combining both concepts. We utilize non-polar attention, transitioning into acceptance. This is neither good nor bad. We simply acknowledge that it occurred. Subsequently, we contemplate potential blessings in disguise. Eventually, we shift into a positive mode when we reach a state of equanimity. This process is a potent tool for manifesting our desired reality. As co-creators of reality, attention is our most powerful instrument. Learning to direct it effectively allows us to shape the life we want. The key takeaway today is this: if you're feeling down, permit yourself to accept that feeling. Once you've achieved a state of equanimity, you can then focus on what you desire. However, if you attempt to hide, repress, or suppress your feelings, they will resurface and potentially cause problems in the future. At this point, any action you take could be a form of resistance. Even creating positive affirmations in the mirror can be a form of resistance if you're using them to avoid feeling something. This three-step method, when consistently applied, has the potential to transform your life. By learning to accept, redirect, and choose what is desired, you free up energy previously wasted on resistance. You're effectively using your attention to manifest your desired reality. Remember, acceptance is not resignation to defeat, but recognition of the current reality. It's within this space of acceptance that our vision sharpens and the path to our desires unveils itself when we embrace the worst-case scenario. When we release the energy previously wasted in resistance, our attention becomes the catalyst for change. We shift our focus to our desires, and reality reshapes itself accordingly. As architects of our own reality, we have the power to choose our path, mold our experiences, and determine our destinies. True transformation begins when we direct our attention to what truly matters in our lives. Proceed with confidence and purpose, for you are the architect of your own destiny. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this video resonated with you, I encourage you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can also benefit from this message. Don't forget to leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.